This summer, many of our ministries, many of our younger ministries have taken on the same teaching theme, and this past week we brought that theme to our middle school camp. This week, along with lots of amazing activities, our middle schoolers were camping and building DIY chairs and singing and dancing and acting and doing video and lots of other stuff. Along with all those fun activities, we taught our middle schoolers one kind of central theme, one central thought, and it all had to do with emotions. And that emotions don't have to be the boss of you. That was what we worked on, and look, you might hear that and think, yeah, this is a really good middle school theme, but I think it goes beyond being a middle school theme, and goes beyond being a high school theme or being a campus theme. This is an everybody topic, and the reason that I know it's an everybody topic is because none of us, no one, likes to be bossed around by anything. Whether it's your emotions from the inside or someone from the outside, no one likes being told what to do. No one likes being told what to do, and that's for every single age. You could be a small child or a grown adult. Nobody likes being told what to do. It's kind of built into the human experience, not wanting to be told what to do. I have a toddler at home. She's about 2 years old, and she's a perfect example of this. Right now, she's in the no phase. Everything is no. Even things that she wants to do, she tells me no. She'll ask me, hey, can you take me outside? She'll say, papi afuera, which means papi outside, go outside. And I'll say, okay, Cadence, do you want to go outside? And she'll say, no. I say, you just said you want to go outside. But this is the position that she's in. She doesn't want to be bossed around. Don't tell me what to do. All of us, to some extent or another, desire this kind of autonomy. We want to live our life where we get to take our own advice. I can do whatever I want to do, whenever I want to do it, and for as long as I would like to do it. And honestly, that's kind of the American dream. It's not written into the American dream, but it's pretty much that. It's pretty much, look, I want enough money to be able to do whatever I want to do, whenever I want to do it, and nobody has to tell me to stop doing it. This is just something in all of us. And it's the reason I believe it's so tempting, and the reason that we believe it's so alluring and it's so we desire it so much is because we all believe that once we call our own shots, we'll call all the right shots. We believe this idea that once we decide it, once we do it, we're going to do the right thing. It'll always be a good decision. This is the discussion that the campus has been having over the whole summer, really diving deeply into this exact topic. But we really do believe that if we were just autonomous, if everyone left us alone, we would make the right life choices. We would make the right decisions about our finances and our relationships. We would make the right decisions about what to do and where to go and when to get up. And we're teens, we're like, when to go to sleep. You know, like everybody, we think we'll make the right decisions. And so we all struggle with this desire to break free from whatever thing is controlling us. But here's what I hope we will discover over the next 20 minutes or so. And I'm just warning you, it's going to be a little bit offensive. The worst enemy of your freedom is you. And you know this. I don't even have to really tell you this. You know this instinctively. This is part of the human experience. You just feel this. Often, we don't get in trouble because we take other people's advice. The trouble we get into is when we take our own advice. And the reason our own advice is so problematic is because we are so easily controlled by the emotions that are raging within us. You took your own advice with some of the biggest issues of your life. Some of you guys are going through financial struggles, and you took your own advice about buying that new house or leasing that car. You took your own advice when you decided to change that job. You took your own advice when you decided to scream at your kids. You thought, you know what, I have a right to be angry here, so I'm going to let them have it. Some of the worst areas of your life are happening because you took your own advice. You watched that video. You wanted to blow off a little bit of steam, and you took your advice, and now you're in a position of regret. You hurt relationships, and you look back at the advice that you took, and you look back and you think, why in the world did I do that? And let me just tell you the reason why you did that. It's because of the emotions that were controlling you. So here's what we're going to do. This is kind of a little bit of like a middle school version of a how-to sermon. We're going to look over the next few minutes, some of the stuff we talked about at CIA camp, some of the things we gave to our students as tools. But I want to give you just really one tool that I think can help you about how to say no to the emotions that compete for control of your life. So as we begin, I want to kind of start out with a thought experiment. So you can pull out your phone or pull out your notebook or whatever it is you use to take notes. And I want you to write down the primary emotion that competes for control of your life. I want you to write it down. Just look at it. Okay, what's the thing that competes for control of your life? Maybe it's anger. Maybe it's lust. Maybe it's frustration. Maybe it's disappointment. Maybe for some of you it's insecurity. It's fear. It's guilt. It's anxiety. Just write it out. Play along at least. Pull out something. To be a part of it. Write it out. The thing that competes for your emotion. Maybe it's apathy. You're not even sure if you should feel anything. Write it out, because hopefully by the end of this time, I'm going to give you at least one tool to get a little bit better at dealing with some of those things that compete for control of your life. We're talking about the things that make us say what we say, and say them at the volume in which we say them, and make us do what we do and say them with the frequency in which we do them. Today I want to teach you again one simple principle from the scriptures that I believe could be a template to filter some of these issues with. And again, it's very middle school, but I believe if you hold on to it, we can begin to silence the toxic voices inside that fight for dominance in our lives. And Jesus is going to give us some helpful insight as to how to identify and then how to practically assess them. We're going to look at 4 verses in the book of Matthew chapter 15. You can go ahead and turn there. And as you're turning there, I'm going to set up some of the context. In Matthew 15, Jesus is with his disciples. And some of the religious leaders approach Jesus and the disciples and ask kind of a bizarre question. They ask a question that if you don't know the history it's kind of a confusing question. They asked them this question: why the disciples don't wash their hands before they eat? Now, I heard a mom say amen. Yeah, this is a mom question, right? But if you're not a mom, you might be going like, what in the world? This is not a hygienic question. It's actually slightly more important than a hygienic question. It's a question about religiousness. It's a question about cultural following of religious rules. That's the question. The question the people asked was, why don't the disciples participate in the religious tradition of washing their hands before they eat? They asked that to Jesus, and Jesus, as he so often does, just kind of looks at them and asks a different question. He says this: okay, I got your question, and why do you break the commandments of God for the sake of your traditions? Ouch, ugh. And then Jesus begins with this thought and rebukes the religious leaders for making it so much about the outward appearance and not so much about the heart. He goes line by line and just kind of hits them, and this is where you find this famous line: these people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. The rules, they're just nothing but rules taught by men. Another ouch. And with that, Jesus kind of dives in, hits the really specific issue that he wants to address with them. And we're going to kind of skip to verse 17 because you could certainly read it on your own. But what he says in verse 17 is really applicable to all of us today, especially within the context of the conversation about our emotions. Verse 17. Don't you see? Whatever enters the mouth goes into the stomach and then out of the body. You see that? Don't you see that? Whatever you eat goes into your mouth and then out of your body. That's all I'm going to say about that. But the things that come out of a person's mouth come from the heart. Ooh. And these defile them. See, the religious leaders were convinced that the defilement was outside coming in. And Jesus is like, no, you got it all twisted. It has nothing to do with the outside coming in. It has to do with the inside bubbling up and coming out. The source of the defilement, or the source of the offenses, the source of the problems in your life, your individual problems, especially as it comes to sort of like a temporary context, the source of all those things don't come from the circumstances without. They all come from within. Now you may hear that and you may go, you haven't told me anything I don't know, but others of you may push back on me and go, no, come on, you're saying that everything I say I mean? I say lots of things I don't really mean. To which Jesus, I believe, would reply, sometimes you say things you don't mean to say out loud, but you meant them. You meant them, you felt them, and the reason you said it is because in this one moment, your behavioral modification skills kind of died out. And the emotions took over. and your heart began to show. And what's in your heart, and what's in my heart, and what's in our emotions, and what we wrestle with, not all of that is very good. So sure, we can blame the world for us acting the way we're acting, but Jesus is going, no, you got to look in the mirror here. You got to deal with what's going on inside. And if you deal with what's going on inside, then maybe you can have some freedom. He goes, for out of the heart, evil thoughts comes evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false testimony, and slander. It's not the circumstances that made you do it. It's not the circumstances that forced you to do it. No. It began as a thought and then came from your heart. There is something in us, and it's no good. And most of the time, you don't even know it's there until it comes out. You can't even control it. It just spills over. And when it spills over, Jesus is just trying to make sure you know that that's actually what's been in you the whole time. That thing that came out of you, that yelling, that screaming, that frustration, that hiding away, that fear, whatever it is, that anxiety, all that stuff that has been in you growing and growing and growing, and it billows and billows and billows, and one day it just explodes. And what happens is it undermines your marriage. And it undermines your relationship with your kids. And it might get you fired. And it might get you to get that ticket because you were so impatient. Or you had to roll that stop sign. It might make you lose your career or lose a friendship or break someone's heart. And you do it and you're going, why did I do that? Why did I do that? Why did I say that? And Jesus would say, you did it and you said it because it's been in you all along. It's been in you all along and you didn't work it out from the heart level. Like the Pharisees, we kind of wash the outside of our lives. We're really good at modifying our behavior. We can come and we can sit and listen for 30 minutes and smile, and it'll be awesome, You can do all the right things. You want to get another job, you want to get a relationship. You know how to modify your behavior, but man, it's hard to modify your heart. All of those problematic behaviors begin from within, from the toxic, uncontrolled emotions, uncontrolled thoughts that happen to take over your life. And you look at this and you go, okay, yeah, Jesus mentioned murder and adultery and immorality, and I'm not dealing with some of those things, but the conversation in Mark adds some more words. He says this, it is from within, out of the person's heart, that evil thoughts come, sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, greed, malice, deceit, lewdness, envy, slander, arrogance, and I love the last one, folly. Folly means foolishness. It just means bad judgment. And isn't it true that most of the greatest regrets in your life were just the result of bad judgment? Unwise decisions. You look back and you go, how could I have been so foolish? Why would I have done such a thing? Why would I have said something? Why? All the moments in your life that you're most embarrassed about, all the moments in your life had to do with just being foolish. And Jesus is going, that's been in you all along. These, he says, are what defile a person. But eating with unwashed hands, it's like, come on, does not defile them. Don't be focused on the actions. Don't be so fixated on the actions that you forget to focus on the heart. The things that put you at odds with God, the things that put you at odds with God are the things that come out from what's already inside. And so we need some help monitoring not just our actions, but our heart as well. So here's what we're going to try to help you do. I'm going to give you one practical thing. It's very middle school. It's very middle school, and I want you to play along. That you can use maybe over the next few weeks, and after you use them over the next few weeks, hopefully they'll be effective and you can use it for the rest of your life. I want you to begin to monitor your emotions. Monitor your emotions. Write it out. I want you to write out what's going on within you. Why is it happening? Kind of deal with some of that thing. Some good monitoring behavior. And I get that. If I don't really want to monitor it, I'm just going to monitor my actions. Whatever. I'm telling you, if you don't start monitoring your heart, your actions will start showing worse and worse and worse. The source of the evil comes out from within us. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to get in the habit of saying this. We're going to say, you're not the boss of me. Some of you you're like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to play along. But I want you to play along. I want you to be a part of this. This whole week, what I'd like you to do, and we're going to practice in a second, but this whole week, what I'd like you to do is when you feel the emotion trying to take control of your life, you feel the anger trying to take control of your life. You're so frustrated, and you get home, and you had a long day at work, and your kids made you mad, and work made you mad, and the drive home made you mad, and that made you mad. Instead of going, all these things make you mad, go, no. There's anger inside of me, and you're not the boss of me. Anger, you're not the boss of me. In those moments when you come home and you're like, I had a long day, I'm going to just put on something that I know I shouldn't be watching to blow off a little bit of steam. You go, no, lust, you're not the boss of me. When you go to the store and you're like, look, I had such a hard week and everything's terrible in my life and things are miserable. I just need to buy some stuff just to make me feel a little bit better. If I just bought this, what do people buy? Dress? I don't know. It'll make me a little happier. You just go, greed, you're not the boss of me. You don't control me. You don't control me. So we're going to practice. Are you guys ready? We're going to say you're not the boss of me together. Play along. Come on. I can just feel you looking at each other. Play along. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. You're not the boss of me. Good. I want to hear it this time with just a little bit more attitude, like you're really mad at somebody. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. So now this whole week, what I want you to do is I want you to get in the habit. Don't say it out loud. Just say it under your breath. You're going to look like a real weirdo. You're in the mall. You're not the boss of me. All right. There's this, wow. Just whisper it to yourself or whatever. Just whisper it to yourself. When you see those things kind of creep in, again, we just got to begin to monitor our emotions, because if we can learn to monitor our emotions, I do believe we can change our actions in the long term. Just imagine, just for a second, just imagine if you had learned some of these principles when you were in middle school. If you learned some of these principles when you were in high school, how about in college? How different would your life have been? How different would your upbringing have been if your father didn't allow his anger to control him? Or your mother's fear or her guilt to control her? Imagine how different our children would be if we, fathers, didn't allow our disappointment or our frustration to control us, or our fear to control us. What if we taught our kids from a really early age not only to monitor what they do just to make them good citizens, but to monitor their heart? Figure out what's really going on inside of them. To monitor those things. I do believe that every single day what you're experiencing is just an overflow of your heart. And the things that you hate are the things that have been unchecked. Here's the thing. If you're a Christian, there's even a bigger deal, because you already have a boss. Your boss isn't your anger. It's a better boss than anger or than envy or than whatever. It's a boss that gives us peace. Jesus says this to us, who is our boss, in Matthew chapter 11. He says, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Rest for the rage, rest for the disappointment, rest for the greed, rest for the envy, rest for the anxiety. I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find, and this is a promise of God, you will find rest for your soul. What a promise. I think it's worth trying, even if you look a little silly. It's worth trying to begin to silence the toxic voices from within you. I want to keep this conversation going, so this is what I want you to do. Normally when we do something like this, we make it a long series, but this is kind of a culmination of a long series with our middle schoolers. So what I'd like for us to do is, I have some questions I'm going to put up on the screen in just a moment. You can pull out your phones and take a picture of them. But these are questions that I'd like for you to share within your community groups, or with the person you mentor, or maybe with some friends, or within your family. But these are some questions that maybe will help you prod your heart a little bit to get to the innermost depths of your soul, as opposed to just dealing with the surface level stuff. These are the questions. Which of the following has a way of becoming the boss? Which of the following has a way of becoming the boss of you? And I give you some options: anger, envy, insecurity, lust, fear, greed. There could be lots of others that you add there. Which of those things have a way of just kind of creeping into your life? It's that thing you wrote down initially. Second, what does it feel like when your answer to number one takes control of you? Discuss it. What does it feel like? I'm just so angry. I want to blame people. I'm frustrated. Whatever it is, your answer, talk about it with somebody. And lastly, what is the first indication that you are about to hand over control? What's the first indication? What happens within you? And let's start checking our hearts so that one day we can check all of our actions. I believe freedom will come as we learn to have God be the boss and push down the bosses of those toxic emotions. Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We're so excited about all that God is doing right here in Broward County, Florida.